everybody, it's Janet and welcome to my channel. Did you know that Design Space has a built-in mat template to help you cut multiple colors of paper on one mat? Today's tutorial will show you how to take advantage of this built-in feature that is, as far as I can tell, pretty underutilized by Cricut Design Space crafters. Okay, here we are at the home screen. I'm going to create a new project by going up to the New Project button and clicking on that. And I'm going to see the virtual mat here. You'll notice that I have rulers at the top and on the side, but I have nothing on the actual virtual mat here. This is not very helpful for most applications if you want to know where you're going to place your paper with any sort of precision. So this is easy to fix. You just go up to the hamburger or the pancake symbol up here, click on it, and go down to the settings choice here. You'll see that I have no grid chosen. Let's instead, for the moment, choose full grid. And you'll see here that not only do we have the lines now for the 1-inch squares, we've got them for the 1/4-inch squares too. So there's a lot going on the mat. This would allow me to put my pattern pieces exactly where I want them to be. So this can be helpful, although for the trick that I'm going to show you, it is not necessary to have all these little grid lines. And in fact, I find this a bit busy to look at, so if I don't have to, I'll shut that off. There is an option that's in between nothing and all the detail. And let's go back to that hamburger and click on settings. That is the partial grid. Now before I move on, I want to also point out to my non-US friends that this is where you choose the centimeter option if you are used to using centimeters. That's just something I wanted to point out as we're going through this. So I've chosen partial grid. Let's go back, and you can see now I just have the grid lines for the 1-inch squares, and this is all I need for what I'm going to do. Now, let's have a review about the Cricut mat. Even though the virtual mat shows a whole 12 inches of length here and more, remember that the actual cutting capability of the Cricut, at least today, is only 11.5 inches by 11.5 inches. That means you're going to always have a border of a 1/4 inch on the top, on the side, the bottom, and basically all around. And that is going to equal 11.5 by 11.5. This can make it a little confusing when you're laying out your paper pieces, because you can get confused and think, well, I have this whole 1-inch square here to work in, but you don't. You actually only have a 3/4 inch by 3/4 inch square. And then the next one is only, it would be, 3/4 inch by 1 inch, because now you have the full width, but you still don't have the full height. It's not until you get to this square do you have a full 1 inch by 1 inch. And going down to the bottom and going across the side, it's all 1 by 1 at that point. So I'm going to take advantage of that concept, as well as a template that is already built into the Cricut Design Space system. Let's click on Templates. And this is where you find a whole bunch of things that you can use to help you place your images if you're going to use a certain thing. Let's say, for example, if you're going to use a polo shirt, you can click on that. It will import a pattern or a template that looks like a polo shirt. And so if you were trying to place something, a pattern like right here, it will help you make sure that you're putting it in the right place, or it's not really the right place, but the right size, so that it will fit nicely between the collar and the sleeve, for example. All right, but I'm not going to choose that. What I really want is something more basic, and that is the basic canvas option. Now, Cricut is smart enough to know, and point this out, templates are for reference only and will not be saved with your project. That's a flashing sign you're going to get up here that will eventually go away. That's just telling you that this square that you're seeing here is not going to cut, it's not going to print, it's just for reference only. And I'm going to change the percentage that we can see on screen to 75%. Now you can see the whole entire square. You will also notice that it's placed the square down here 1 inch down from the top and 1 inch from the side. And this is again giving us a full 12 inches of cutting, or in 12 inches, I'm sorry, full 1 inch of cutting in this very first square, as opposed to if it were up here, again, we are only getting about 3/4 of an inch here. And then again, 3/4 of an inch by 1 inch. So what I'm going to do is take advantage of this to lay out my pieces, and it will make it easier when I lay out the paper pieces on my mat to match my virtual mat by doing this. All right, so I'm going to color this virtual mat here a little differently other than white. So to do that, I just go down to the basic canvas option in the layers panel down at the bottom, click on that circle, and I'm going to change this to the cream because I happen to know that my image has no cream in it, and so this makes it easier to look at the space that I'm going to be working in rather than it all be white. You could leave it white if you'd like. I prefer just to color it something different so it's easier to see and work with, at least for me. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in the image that I want to work with. And I'm going to type in what I'm searching for. It is the Christmas bird. It's this one right here. I clicked it, and you'll see that when I click it, that green box goes all the way around the image. That tells me that I've successfully chosen it. And then I'm going to go down to the bottom and click on the Insert Images button. And here's my bird. I want this to be a little bit bigger. I'm going to make him 3 inches wide, and by doing so it makes his height also a little bigger, 3.435. Okay, I wanted him a little bigger because he's going to go on a 5.5 by 5.5 inch card base. So I'm going to pull him off my virtual mat here, and now I'm going to ungroup this so I can pull all the pieces apart. To do that, I'm going to go to the Layers panel and hit Ungroup. Now, when I pull on the various pieces of this image, they come apart so that I can see all the different layers that have to be cut here. And it turns out that we have 11 different layers. So quite a few, and you'll also see how little these are. I really don't want to cut 7 different mats with each one cutting such little tiny images. It's just kind of a waste of time because every time you have to load your mat and then unload it, this takes time. Why not just load it once and get them all cut at once? This will make it very easy to do that for you. So I'm going to start laying out my pieces on the virtual mat. I'm going to take the biggest first. I'm going to put it over here. I'm going to take the other black piece and lay that also here. And I'll center it. Why not? This tells me I'm going to need a piece of black paper that is 4 by 5 in order to make this cut. And I'll just place that first piece of paper 1 inch down from the top and 1 inch down from the side. The next thing I will do is the blue. I kind of start with the biggest and then work my way to the smallest. Sort of. But definitely start from the biggest. And then I'm going to put this down. This one looks like it's going to be 3 inches wide by 3 inches tall. Next, just because of the space I have left to work in, I'm going to put in my light bulbs. So that's going to be 1 inch by 4 inches. Here's the red light bulbs. It's technically 1 by 3 inches. And then I've got my 2 bird wings. Let's bring those in, and I think, yes, we'll get that on also 1 inch by 2 inch piece of blue paper. And my eyeballs, they're so cute. That's also going to fit on a 1 by 2 inch piece. The last thing I'm going to pull over is the beak and the legs. I'm going to go over here and center that, and it looks like that's going to have to be a 1 by 3 inch piece of paper. Okay, now I'm ready to go to my real mat and lay out the paper just like I've done here. Once I do that, then I'll come back and get ready to cut it. So let's go to that, and I'll show you how I will lay out the pieces to exactly match what I've got here on my virtual mat. All right, here's my mat, and I just want to apologize for the white marks on my mat. what happened here is I was a little strenuous with my scraper on a previous project and it took the color and the adhesive right off. Fortunately, it's not enough to really make that big of a difference for my cutting, but that's what that is. It's not paper. Alright, so I'm going to start laying out my paper pieces. So here's that first piece of black that needs to be 4 by 5 inches. Now remember, I'm going to leave a 1-inch border on the left and a 1-inch border at the top, and I'm going to put that piece right there. And then this will be kind of my anchor piece. Everything else will go around it. And looking at my mat on the screen, I know that this goes next, the blue. Then next to that, on the side, are my light bulbs. We have the green first. Then we have the red. Then I have the 2 dark blue wings. And then I've got the 2 eyes. And I'm going off the edge a little bit here, but that's okay. Don't worry if you do that. It's just not going to cut. I'm not going to mess with cutting that off. It's just not necessary. Okay, so then the last piece is this golden rod, which is going to be his legs and beak, and that went right below here. Okay, so let's go back to Design Space and prepare this then for cutting. Okay, we're back on Cricut Design Space, and I've laid out the papers. We just saw exactly where these pieces are on the real mat compared to my virtual mat. And now I'm ready to go ahead and cut it. Now, when I do this, I'm going to choose Select All, and then I'm going to go over here down to the Attach menu right here, the Attach option. Now watch what happens to my colors here when I do that. It goes black. This is exactly why I don't lay out my pieces after I've attached or prepared it for printing. Instead, I do it before I do this step. That way I don't have to remember that, oh, these were green and these were red and these were dark blue, because once it turns black like this, you may forget. And to keep it simple, just leave it in the colored format until you're ready to actually cut it. That's my advice to you on that. Okay, so now we're ready to actually cut it. So we're going to go to the Make It button. And it's going to just try to shove those pieces as far up and to the left as it can. But that's a problem because remember we placed our paper 1 inch down and 1 inch from the side. So we just need to grab this boundary box and move it down and get it placed to match, you know, where we approximately put our papers. And this is good. I have this starting 1 inch from the top and 1 inch from the left, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 inches plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inches, so that's perfect. This over here, I need it to be 1 inch wide by 3 inches long, and that's perfect. Here I've got a 3 by 3 box. Here I've got a 1 by 4 and a 1 by 4 and a 1 by 2 and 1 by 2. So this is going to cut exactly where I placed my paper on the real mat. So all I need to do at this point is hit continue. And it'll take a little bit for it to think, but eventually it will get there, and this is what it's going to look like now on my mat, just exactly the way I laid it out with my real paper. So I'm going to go ahead then and load my mat and cut it, and then I'll be back. Alright, here are my cut pieces, and you can see that they are all cut perfectly where I placed my paper. And I'm going to remove all the pieces so you can see that even a little bit better. And there you go, all my pieces are ready to put together. I'll come back with that all done in a moment. All right, well, here's my finished card. You can see my cute bird here. I think he's adorable. And I just matted this on it's a 5.5 by 5.5 inch square card base. I used a cut apart that came from a paper pad that I have used to death this year. It's called Say Freeze, and you can see some of the papers in here, but there are cut aparts as well. This was one of the many that are in this pad. It made this card super easy. Then the only other thing I did is I took some red stickles and just put those dots of red stickles where the pattern paper already had the red berries, and I think it turned out really cute. I also added this sticker, this Merry Christmas sticker that I had in my stash. So I'm really pleased with that card. It's pretty cute. Well, this concludes today's tutorial. I hope you found this helpful and will give it a try to see if it will help you be more efficient in your cutting. Well, once again, thank you for joining me here today. I really appreciate you visiting, and I've put up here the link to subscribe to my channel and also to a couple more videos that I think you might be interested in seeing if you like this one. So I hope to see you back soon, but until then, keep crafting. Bye!